Today we go with another part in case of atomic structure. Let us see photoelectric effect. Albert Einstein did one experiment, that is photoelectric effect. So his intention is to study the particle as well as wave nature of the electromagnetic radiation. Already in the last video we find sunlight is the source of all electromagnetic radiation. For a electromagnetic radiation, it has two important property. One, electric field and magnetic field, they are present perpendicular to each other, and all electromagnetic radiation will travel with velocity of 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second, and it has other few properties like wavelength, frequency as well as wave number. And where we find that energy of all electromagnetic radiation depends on the frequency. So starting from cosmic rays to that of radio waves, variety of electromagnetic radiations one can find in case of a sunlight. And he explained and he did one experiment, particle nature of that particular electromagnetic radiations. And that is given by experiment called as a photoelectric effect. Let us see what is photoelectric effect and what experiment did by the Albert Einstein. So photoelectric effect says, as name indicates, photo nothing but a photon, light energy, electric nothing but electron. So light as well as a particle, electron nothing but particle nature. Their relation is given, explained by the effect. So here what happened is, ejection of electron from the surface of the metal takes place. So in case of photoelectric effect, very simple. From the surface of the metal, electrons get ejected. Ejection nothing but removal or a movement, come out from the surface taking place. Okay, and when it is happened, after a light radiation of suitable frequency strike on the surface of the metal. So after the suitable frequency of light radiation strike on the surface of the metal. So that is tells about photoelectric effect. It is very simple. After passing a frequency of a suitable light radiation, electrons are get ejected. So two processes or a phenomena happen at a time. So there is a fall of light radiation on the surface of metal. At the same time, there is an ejection of electron taking place. So that is explained by the photoelectric effect. Let us go with the explanation. So we have a one metal solid. So there is a metal block is to consider. Normally the metal considered are either potassium solid or a sodium solid, or you can go with the cesium solid or a rubidium solids. So these gives more or a fast response for the photoelectric effect, because all these are having loosely bounded valence shell electron. So electrons can be removed very easily. So here there is a source of light, ordinary sunlight. When that ordinary sunlight or a source of light is made to fall on the surface of the metal, so having energy E equal to h nu. So energy of all electromagnetic light is considered as E equal to h nu, and when that light radiation is made to fall on the surface of the metal, so the atoms present on the surface of the metal, remember in metal, inside the metal solid, atoms are there. Surface also having atom. But here what happened is, the electron present in the surface of the atom are ejected out. So after falling that energy E equal to h nu or a sunlight energy, so electrons present in the surface of an atom receive that energy, and electrons present in the valence shell of an atom ejected out. So as a result, there is an energy or light will falling on the surface. Meanwhile, electrons are ejected taking place. So up to here, the light shows waves property. After that, light shows particle property. Electron is a subatomic particle. So that is explained by the photoelectric effect. So here, point to be noted, the atoms or a metal atom present in the surface part will going to lose electron. So thereby ejection of electron taking place. Remember, only one electron is rejected, not a bunch of electrons. So here it is, energy of light will fall on the surface and electron ejection that is taking place. So that is the main taking place in case of a photoelectric effect. So here it is observed that the energy of this light radiation is taken as a E. or you can say h nu, and in order to eject that electron, certain benchmark energy needed, and that benchmark energy considered as a W. W stand for work function, and their energy is h nu naught. So their W equal to h nu naught. So this nu naught nothing but threshold frequency. It is nothing but threshold frequency. Threshold frequency nothing but minimum frequency that is required in order to eject that electron, like a benchmark, okay, passing mark, okay. So that minimum energy that is needed in order to eject the electron from the valence shell of an atom, that is nothing but the threshold frequency. So that is multiplied to the h. So h nu naught nothing but a work function, and whatever the electrons are come out with some energy. Since electron is a particle, so energy of particle is considered as a kinetic energy. Energy of particle is considered as a kinetic energy. That kinetic energy nothing but half mv square. So here energy of incident light or light going to fall on the surface of metal is nothing but h nu, E equal to h nu, and some amount of energy used in order to eject the electron, that is nothing but the work function, that is exactly equal to h nu naught, where nu naught nothing but the threshold frequency, minimum frequency that is necessary, and electrons are ejected out and it carries some energy. That energy is nothing but kinetic energy equal to half into mv square. As a result, it is observed that kinetic energy of that ejected electron is the difference of energy of light supplied and the energy used for the ejection of electron. So as a result, E minus W exactly equal to kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy is the difference in energy of incident light and the work function. Kinetic energy minus W equal to kinetic energy, where E is the energy of the incident light. Or if you go for the calculation or rearranging, E nothing but h nu minus W nothing but h nu naught equal to kinetic energy, or h common, where h nothing but the Planck's constant. Remember, the h nothing but the Planck's constant. It takes value 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. It is always a fixed value. So h common here we can bring outside. That result we get h into mu minus mu naught equal to half into mv square. So this is the final relation that is given by the Planck's given by the photoelectric effect. So h into mu minus mu naught equal to half into mv square. So here potassium, sodium or cesium, rubidium, among that cesium shows very fast response for the photoelectric effect. Cesium shows very fast response because if you move from potassium, sodium, rubidium and cesium down the group in the periodic table, size goes on increases. If the size of atom, if it is more, electrons are loosely bound. That means between nucleus and valence shell electron, force of attraction is less. As a result, valence shell electron can be removed very easily. So size, if it is more, bigger the size of the metal atom, faster or easier is the ejection of electron. So photoelectric effect is found to be maximum one can find. So here the cesium shows very fast response or highest photoelectric effect rather than the sodium as well as it is potassium. So this is the one relations one can find. So here nu naught nothing but a threshold frequency, that is the minimum frequency required in order to eject the electron. Similarly, m nothing but the mass of an electron, v nothing but the velocity of an electron, and w nothing but it is work functions. So that is explained by the photoelectric effect. Here one conclusion or one situation, or you can say concept, we have to remember. What is that concept? Suppose if the frequency of the incident light and the threshold frequency, if it is not same, suppose frequency of incident light is greater than the threshold frequency, then what happened? If mu is greater than mu naught, then what happened? Kinetic energy goes on increases. So kinetic energy of that ejected electron found to be maximum. Similarly, if mu is exactly equal to mu naught, then what happened? kinetic energy of that ejected electron is found to be 0. Electron ejected, but their kinetic energy found to be 0. If mu and mu naught both values are same, then h nu equal to h nu naught. As a result, the difference in their value equal to 0. So kinetic energy of ejected electron will be 0. And if mu is less than mu naught, that means the frequency of incident light is less than the benchmark frequency, then no photoelectric effect. That means there is no ejection of electron. Ejection of electron will not at all taking place. No ejection of electron means there is no photoelectric effect. As a result, for a photoelectric effect, in order to eject electron, mu naught threshold frequency should be found to be less, and frequency of incident radiation, that must be is more. And here the one point to be noted, as the frequency of incident light, if it is more observed, kinetic energy is also more observed. As a result, kinetic energy is directly proportional to frequency of incident radiation, and number of electron ejected directly proportional to intensity of light radiation. Intensity of light radiation. Remember, if the intensity of this light radiation is more number of electrons are get ejected. If the frequency of this incident light is more, then kinetic energy of that electron goes on taking place. So these are the two important conclusion point where you have to remember. So kinetic energy of ejected electron directly proportional to frequency of light, that is fall on the surface of metal, and the number of electron ejected depends on the intensity of light radiation. So this is the important points we have to remember. It is observed that general formula or a symbol for atom is ZXA. So let us find out model for atom, how it looks. Different scientists work with respect to the model representation. In that we go with the more important model for an atom. The first one is Thomson model, second one Rutherford model, and third one and latest and we are following, that is Bohr's atomic model. Let us see first Thomson model. So according to this model, he took one reference that is like a watermelon, and here positive charge spread uniformly in the form of a sphere. He says that positive charge, suppose if you consider this is the atom, where positive charges are uniformly distributed whatever the region available in the form of a sphere. Okay, so positive charges are uniformly distributed, whereas negative charge, or you can say electrons, are put in here and there. That means they embedded here and there on the surface of a positive charge region. So positive charges are uniformly distributed, whereas electrons or negative charge species are putting on the surface of positive charge, and thereby force of attraction between positive charge and negative charge observed. Thereby it balances the positive force of attraction, neutralize the charges, thereby atom found to be stable. But this is not a proper explanation, or you can say proper method for representation of an atom, because of later more and more invention or experiments are observed. There, whatever the observation observed for those experiments will not support for this model representation. That is why so Thomson model will fail. So here point to be noted, positive charge spread uniformly on the in the form of a sphere, whereas negative charge or electrons are putting on the surface of the positive charge region, and they are in spherical in nature. But Rutherford model for atom, second one, this is purely experimental based, that is alpha scattering experiment. He took one experiment that is called alpha scattering experiment, and thereby he explained the model for an atom. He took one gold foil. Okay, he took one gold foil, a thin sheet of a gold layer. Over that gold foil or a sheet of gold layer, he is going to pass alpha radiation. Alpha radiation, nothing but radiation of helium rays. Okay, he made to pass the alpha radiation over the gold foil, and radiations are come out from the gold foil, and that made to fall on photographic plate. So this is the photographic plate. Okay, it is a photographic plate. And here it is observed that helium nuclei we can't see in our naked eye, but during experiment we are observed different spots observed in case of a photographic plate. There are different spots observed in the photographic plate, and using that experiment he observed some observation. What is that observation? Very simple. He said that yes, okay, that atoms are in spherical in shape. He took that part from the Thomson model, and he observed that one has the more number of alpha particle, alpha radiation is made to fall on the atom. Maximum alpha radiations are simply taking place through that atom. Suppose if you consider this is the atom. So after passing alpha radiation, maximum alpha radiation simply passing out. Maximum number. If you consider 100 radiation, 98 radiations are completely taking place, simply passing through that atom taking place. But only few of them are shows little deflection. So only few of them are shows deflection. Few alpha particles shows deflection than the normal light. Okay, so maximum alpha radiation simply pass through the atom, but few of them shows deflection, and it is observed that 1 out of 10,000, 1 out of 10,000 alpha radiation, 1 out of 10,000 alpha radiation simply rebound back. Simply rebound back. 1 out of 10,000 simply rebound back. So that is observation done. And that observation conclusion given, what he concluded, he says that the maximum space in case of an atoms are empty, where we can say electron may occupy, because helium nucleus positive charged nucleus, it is a positive charged beam of radiation. As well, he says maximum space are empty where electron occupied, but smaller region is a positive charge region where nucleus is present. And he says that small region is nucleus. What is the observation given? He says that out of 1 out of 10,000 rebound back. So that is a region where nucleus is present. Out of 1 out of 10,000, there is a alpha radiation rebound back. That is because repulsion. Nucleus is positive charge, alpha rays shows positive charge. So because of repulsion, rebound back, it will not pass through that. So that says that nucleus is present and occupies very small volume, and that is present at the center of the atom. So small region, that is a positive charge region, and where nucleus is present, and the volume occupied by that nucleus or positive charge region is very small. It is observed that volume of nucleus is very small compared to the entire volume of an atom. So that is the conclusion that is given by the alpha scattering experiment by the Rutherford. So as result, Rutherford says nucleus is present at the center, and later it is observed that the size of the nucleus is around 10 to the power of minus 15. It is a meter, very small. Femtometer you call the meters. The size of the nucleus is very small, and surrounding to that nucleus electrons are distributed. Let us see the third important model for an atom, and nowadays we follow that. Atomic structure mainly depends on this model, that is Bohr's atomic model. Niels Bohr is the name of the scientist. He gives some ideas with respect to the representation or a symbol for an atom. So according to Bohr's atomic model, he gives some postulates, points with respect to his experiment or observation. He says that, first point, he says that nucleus is present at the center of an atom. Nucleus is present at the center of an atom, but electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a circular path called orbit, energy level, or a shell. So nucleus is present at the center of atom, that is rest. It is not moving. But what about the electron? So electrons are revolving, simply moving around the nucleus in a circular path. According to Bohr, it is moving in a circular path, and that circular path is considered as a name orbit, another name energy level, another name shell, one more name stationary state. So orbit, energy level, or a shell. So that is the first point it is given. Let us consider with the diagram. So let us say this is the nucleus, and this is the first shell, second shell, third shell. So electrons are revolve around nucleus in a different shell. It may be in first shell, it may be in second shell, or it may be in third shell, and number of shell goes on increases. There is no end for a shell. Okay, and here N is the symbol for the shell or a orbit or energy level, and it takes value either 1, 2, 3 up to infinity shells are there. And the first shell is considered as a K shell, second shell is L, third shell is M, like that, N, O, P, Q, like that it will go. So these are the abbreviation for the shell. So A says that in Bohr's atomic theory, one important concept comes shell. So nucleus is present at the center, and surrounding to that, revolving around the nucleus, electron absorbed in a particular shell. So electrons are revolved around the nucleus in that particular circular path is nothing but shell 1, 2, 3 or K element, like that, up to infinitely many different shells one can find. But shells number and their size, everything, it is going to be different. That is the first point explained by the Bohr's atomic model. The second point says, as long as electrons revolve around the nucleus. So let us assume electrons are revolving in the first shell. As long as the electrons are revolving around the first shell or that particular shell, its energy remains constant. It does not lose energy, it does not gain any energy. As long as electrons are revolving around that first shell, their energy will not lose, will not gain. Similarly, suppose electrons are revolving around the third shell, their energy will not at all lose, will not gain. So energy remains constant. So that is the second point. So as long as the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, its energy remains constant, and that energy is exactly equal to E equal to h nu. H nothing but Planck's constant, nu nothing but frequency. The third point says, what about their velocity? Since electrons are moving in a circular path, so that circular path movement of any object, their velocity considered as angular momentum. Angular momentum nothing but velocity shown by an object or a particle in a circular path. Okay, and that angular momentum is given by for the electron in a particular shell is exactly equal to mvr equal to nh by 2 pi. It is the integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Okay, so angular momentum of electron in a particular shell. For example, first shell. What about their angular momentum? mvr stands for angular momentum. M nothing but mass, V is nothing but velocity, R nothing but radius of that shell. That multiplication of that product tells about the angular momentum is n times h by 2 pi. So there is n nothing but shell number. What about for first shell? 1 into h by 2 pi. Second shell 2 into h by 2 pi means h by pi. Third shell 3 into h by 2 pi. Like that in terms of angular, in terms of an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. So that is the third point. Okay. The fourth point is whether electrons remains constant in that particular shell. Suppose if you heat it, or suppose if you apply any electric current, or if you increase the temperature, then what happens? Electrons can move from first shell to the second shell, or electron can move from first shell to the third shell. That is called excitation. So once the electrons jump from lower energy orbit to the higher energy orbit, it will absorb energy. In order to move electron from lower energy to higher energy, it takes energy. So energy absorb taking place. Energy absorption nothing but it is an endothermic. So the difference in energy is E2 minus E1. Suppose electron move from first to second, then second shell having more energy, whereas first shell having a lower energy. So difference in energy is always going to be, it is greater than 0, or we can say positive value. Here point to be noted, first shell, second, third shell, which shows higher energy. Always remember, energy of infinity shell is very much greater than, let us say, energy of the fourth shell, and that is more than the energy of the third shell, that is more than energy of second shell, that is more than energy of the first shell. Remember, as the shell number increases, as the n value increases, energy is also goes on increases taking place. Higher the n value, greater the energy. That means if electrons present in the third shell, their energy is more than the electron present in the first shell. So as the difference in energy, while the absorption it is going to be greater than 0, one can find. Similarly, whatever the electrons present in higher energy level, that is unstable. That should come to lower energy level. That means de-excitation taking place. De-excitation. Movement of electron from lower energy to higher energy, excitation. Higher energy to lower energy, that is called de-excitation. Again, when electron move from higher energy to lower energy, it should emit energy. It should liberate energy. That is, when electrons jump from higher energy orbit nothing but energy level of a shell, to lower energy orbit, it liberates energy. It is nothing but negative value less than 0. Observe. Exothermic one can find. So these are the important postulates or points that is given by Bohr's atomic model. Based on these points, we have some relation for energy calculation, relations for velocity calculation, and relation with respect to the radius of the shell, and we will see. Let us say some important relations observed from Bohr's atomic model. The three important relations we have to remember. First, with respect to energy of electron in a particular nth shell, it may be first shell, second shell, third shell, like that. Second one regarding orbit or a radius of an orbit or radius of shell. The third one with respect to velocity of electron present in particular nth shell. Let us see first with respect to energy. Remember, all these applicable for either hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. Remember, one of the important drawback for the Bohr's atomic model is it is applicable only for uni-electron system. Uni-electron system nothing but one electron containing. Okay, so hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. Because if more number of electrons present, then it is very difficult to express where the electrons present, in which shell electron present. So this is one of the drawback one can. That is why. So whatever the relation that is given, that is applicable for hydrogen and hydrogen-like species. Hydrogen-like species nothing but one electron containing helium ion, lithium ion, like that. Uni-electron species. Remember, one electron containing species. Okay. That's why while solving problem or while displaying problem, they say either uni-electron or a hydrogen-like species. Like that question it is there. So first one regarding energy of electron in nth shell. So here there is one relation. En stands for energy of electron of nth shell or nth orbit. En stands for orbit or energy level of shell. That is expressed in three different units. 1 kilojoule per mole, electron volt per atom, joule per atom. So all the three relations you have to remember. So in all the cases, z square by n square, z square by n square, z square divided by n square is the common. Remember, z square by n square common. Since this unit conversion taking place, their value is also changes. Constant value will change. So in kilojoule per mole, energy of electron is minus 1312, 1312 z square by n square. And in electron volt per atom, minus 13.6 z square by n square. And in joule per atom, minus 2.18 into 10 to the power of minus 18 z square divided by n square. And here all energy value is negative. While energy of electron in a particular shell is negative, remember, electrons are moving from far away infinity distance to they are coming to the nucleus. Since electron move from infinity distance to the nucleus, energy release taking place, that makes a negative value. So always remember, energy of electron negative because electron move coming from infinity distance to the ground state. So negative value, energy of electron always negative. Energy of electron in particular shell is negative. And from this relation it is concluded that, remember, this is a constant value, 1312, 13.6, this is a constant value. So I say that En directly proportional to z square by n square. Energy of electron in that particular shell directly proportional to z square by n square. Since z is constant because of uni-electron system, only one electron is there. And it depends on the shell number. Mainly energy of electron depends on the shell number. But for hydrogen, atomic number is 1. But for helium and lithium, Z value found to be different also. As a result, energy of electron is inversely proportional to square of the orbit and directly proportional to square of the atomic number. En directly proportional to 1 by n square. That means as the shell number increases, what about their energy? Goes on decreases taking place. Negative value that is observed. Let us go for radius of nth Bohr orbit. So their relation Rn nothing but equal to 0.529 into n square divided by z. Okay, Rn radius of nth Bohr orbit is exactly equal to 0.529 into n square divided by z, that is expressed in terms of angstrom, and 1 angstrom nothing but 10 power minus 10 a meter. Okay, and if you go for the first shell, let us say nucleus is present at center. What about the radius of the first shell, second shell? So what are the radius? Let us see. For the first shell, for a hydrogen-like species, it is a z equal to 1, n equal to 1, as that n square by z completely equal to 1, as the radius of the first Bohr orbit is found to be, what is the radius? 0.529 angstrom. Look at that, how much space it is there. Angstrom is 10 power minus 10, a very, very small one. Okay. So, and second Bohr orbit is 4 times, like that it will goes. Okay, and in general, radius of nth Bohr orbit is directly proportional to n square or inversely proportional to 1 by atomic number. So this is more important. So as the shell number increases, radius there double observed because n square. So Rn direct proportional to n square. Next comes velocity of electron in nth shell. At what speed that electrons are revolve around that nucleus in that particular shell is measured by formula Vn equal to 2.18 into 10 to the power of 6 into Z by N. It is expressed in meter per second. That means in 1 second this much amount meter that distance will cover. 2.18 into 10 to the power of 6 Z by N. And this is a constant value for the first shell for a hydrogen 1 by 1 common observed. So the velocity of electron in first shell. So if electrons are moving in the first shell, what about their velocity? 2.18 into 10 to the power of 6 meter per second. So that is the velocity of electron in first shell. In general, so for hydrogen-like species, Z value normally it is 1 observed for hydrogen, and N value if it is different observed. Then if you consider this is a constant value, Vn directly proportional to Z by N, and or we can say Vn directly proportional to Z, or Vn directly proportional to 1 by N, inversely proportional to that of shell number. That means as the shell number increases, velocity of that electron goes on decreases taking place for hydrogen species. So that is the relations normally one can find. So these important relations are important for competitive exam while solving questions in the case of a competitive examinations.